This is episode 33 of The Great Game, and we were fortunate enough in this one to have a chat with Javier from Uruguay Megagames. It's the first time branching into the South American theatre, I suppose, for Megagames. And it was really interesting hearing how the Uruguay team have gone about setting things up when they've got a little bit less support and the usual sort of precedent that the rest of us sort of primary English speakers have. The team in Uruguay are very enthusiastic. They have done quite a bit, and they're very ambitious about what they've got next. So it was really fun to talk to them and hear what the experience has been like. Hopefully you will enjoy this conversation with Javier, as we did, and hopefully we'll also be able to be bringing you some future conversations with other groups down south, as well as the Uruguay team again, to hear what they get up to in the year to come. Hope you enjoy. All right, Javier, thank you so much for joining us this morning or tonight for you. We are really excited to chat to you about Megagames in Uruguay, and we were just having a bit of a chat about your background. But did you want to just start by giving us a bit of insight into how you came into Megagames and when that happened, and how you decided to start running them yourself?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
I think that it's probably like 95% of the people. Like I saw Shut Up and Sit Down video in 2014 or 2015 or something like that. And at the time I said, okay, this has to be great. Like this has to be really fun. I would love to do it. But it was an idea that never came to anything. Like I didn't really talk about it to anyone. So since we speak Spanish here, and Shut Up and Sit Down is in English, there's not so many people that know the channels, so not many people around me at least knew about the games. So it was kind of an idea that didn't really move until last year. So last year, getting together with some friends from like my whole life, like we met since we were 10 years old, and now we are 40 something. So over 30 years of friendship. And yeah, like we were together, we started talking about games and geeky stuff, let's say. Role-playing games, board games, all of that. And then I mentioned, there's these things, Megagames, which is really something that I would love to do. I would love to play it, probably run it, because it doesn't. There's nothing here. So we started talking, and they kind of pushed me into doing it. So we ended up saying, okay, let's do it. So we started researching a little bit more, and the idea started growing. We found got the Watch the Skies game. We bought the license, started translating everything to Spanish. Doing everything. We ended up going to Argentina to play a version of Watch the Sky, which they were running by chance at the same time. And yeah, I mean, we ended running the first game on February, which was a smaller version because we wanted to try it. So with some friends of ours, we did only 4 countries, just like a small test for ourselves, like to see how it went, how it was, check timings and all of that. We started there, and then from then we started to try to do something else, like run the real thing with all the people that are supposed to be on the game.
And you've run the full version now?
Yeah. We run it twice. We did in April and in June.
Right.
So we had this let's say, crazy idea to run something every month. But yeah, I think it's so.
Oh,
Right now, it's like, yeah, it would be nice, but it's not
well,
nowhere close to that because
yeah. We've just,
Yeah.
I'm laughing because we're in Sydney. This is our 10-year anniversary, and we've only just started running more than one a year. And so I love your enthusiasm to just jump straight
Yeah,
in and go, yeah,
absolutely.
let's do it monthly.
yeah, I mean, we
That's
said
awesome,
yeah.
though.
So yeah, what we were thinking was okay. So the first one, maybe two, are going to be kind of hard, but then it has to be like at least the same game. Like repeating the
Mm,
same game
yeah.
has to be easy, right? For our
Mm.
side. So and it is like running Watch the Skies for us now. It's easy. It's not like we don't really since it's always the same um, team. Like we have our control team, which is the group. Let's call it.
Hmm.
Um, we are all trained, so it will be kind of easy for us to go and do the game. What's not so easy is to get people to play it. See,
Mm.
so
So with
that's the
sorry, you
main
go.
reason why we are not being able to do it once a month. We need to grow the community much more than
Yeah.
what it is currently. But it's the plan. Maybe one
Mm.
day.
Awesome. That's great. How have you found the process of kind of trying to communicate to people what a mega game is and why it's exciting and why they should be interested in it? Has that been pretty tricky? Do you feel like people, once they kind of see it in action, it kind of clicks? Like, yeah, how's that going?
So when we talk to people about the game, um, I want to say everyone, but most of the people are really excited. Like you tell them what the game is about, and it's that must be awesome. That must be really fun. I would love to be there and everything. Um, but then what's harder is to get them to really be there. Like really
Mm.
go to the day and day, because it's really a long a long day, right? Like you have to get like at least 5 or 6 hours for the game alone, and just that can be a bit hard. But like making people see when you talk to them, only when you talk to them, right? Making people see that it's really something fun to do and it's really a really good experience. It has been easy for us. But
Mm.
that's only when you talk face to face, right? So
Mm.
Yeah.
and the problem is that we don't really have a lot of coverage, like a lot of amplitude. Like we cannot get, I don't know, 1,000 people to convince
Mm,
them by
mm.
talking face to face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been trying to do a couple more things. Like we have the Instagram page, which I think maybe, I don't know, half of the people has come from the Instagram page.
Mhm.
But yeah, like through Instagram, like you put a couple videos, some pictures, so it's kind of hard to really get people to see that it's something that they would want to do. Then
Yeah,
we
of
managed
course.
to, yeah, we managed to go to the radio a couple times. We managed to go to TV also. The
Oh,
TV
wow.
one wasn't, yeah, TV wasn't really, didn't work.
Oh, that's a
um,
shame. Yeah, I saw it on your
yeah,
Facebook page.
yeah, but it wasn't. So I think that it wasn't really um, what we needed, right? It was like,
Mm. It wasn't the right
so
audience for it?
yeah, yeah, and the girl that talked to us really didn't have an idea on what we were doing, and she thought that it
Mm.
was kind of the same as a role-playing game, and she
Right.
kept
Mm.
talking about role-playing game, and that's not what we wanted. Like there's a lot of people that if you talk to them about role-playing game, they just close the door. Like
Yeah.
they like, if they already like it, it's okay, but if they don't, it's like
Mm.
this way too geeky activity, maybe
Yeah,
for a lot
yeah.
of people. Yeah, so we were trying to get to a bigger audience, and so that one didn't work. Then, and besides, it was a really shortened interview, and explaining what a mega game is, and at that point explaining what Watch the Sky was. You cannot really do that on 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Like you need more time. Yeah, we had better luck with the radio interview because that was like a 30 minutes interview or something like that. So some people showed up from there. But yeah, like for us, the hardest has been reaching enough people. Like,
yeah, I think in a lot of our communities, that like that watch that the original video from 2014 has been it's done a lot of heavy lifting, because
yeah,
whenever we talk to someone who we know already likes things like board games or role-playing games, we can then just point them to that video and say, hey, do you want to do this? And off they go. Has that been a useful tool for you, or is the language, because obviously all of your games are played in Spanish, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it has been useful,
Okay.
but not so much. Like there are some people that have seen the video and said, "Oh yeah, I like this." Most of them already knew about it. Like most of them were already from the board gaming community, and they knew Shut Up and Sit Down, and they might have seen the video already. The thing is that since it's in English, we cannot really give it to anyone, like everyone, you know.
Yeah.
Besides, it's not only so. So in Uruguay, you have like I think you have a pretty high percentage of people who speaks English, but not to the level of being able to see a YouTube video that has no subtitles or anything, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
So they may be able to speak to you, have a conversation if you repeat things, if you speak slowly, but seeing a YouTube video is not the same. So there's not so many people that can to whom I can really give them the video and say, okay, watch this, and you will understand everything.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So is that on your agenda then, to create the Uruguay or the South American video for, the new Watch the Skies video? That might be something
I would.
that...
So kind of. We haven't talked about it, but I would love to have like one team being followed by a camera and kind of doing like a Big Brother kind of interview, every now and then. And but we barely have someone to take a couple pictures. So having someone during the whole day following up. First, we need to get the team who is okay with doing that, and then having someone following and making something that it's good. I'm not telling Shut Up and Sit Down quality, but something that is not completely shitty. Let's say, like it has some level of quality.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's because it's something that we've struggled with here for a long time. We've actually just put out a video on one of our recent games, and it was just luck that we had someone come along to one of our games, and then he said, hey, I'm really interested in sort of making a little video about this. Can I come along to the next one? But over the years, we've always wanted to do that. And it's once you actually start to try, you realize how much effort it actually takes to film a whole day and then edit it into something coherent. So it's totally...
like I have seen a lot of videos from different games, and they aren't good. Like they are like either boring or they don't really show you the experience that it is playing. Like the Shut Up and Sit Down video it's really good. It's really good, and especially if you compare them to the other videos that you see there.
It takes effort. It's not just a matter of pointing a camera at people and and then uploading it. It takes a lot of curating.
Yeah, absolutely. And sound is a huge issue, I feel like,
Oh,
with the amount
yeah.
of just capturing basic dialogue and people talking has been terrible for when we've tried to do it.
Well, we do have a habit of getting people to commit to things on the podcast. So
Ooh,
that's
good.
you, Javier, saying that you're going to make the Spanish language video down the track, somewhere down the track.
Yeah, I will love it.
Awesome. So how many people are there in your group, Javier?
It's seven, I think.
Cool.
Yeah, and so we were like, it's seven. It's seven of us. We started being like, we were four of us. One of the four left because he wasn't really enjoying the well, all the thing about making the game and everything. He like, it was, so it's me, my girlfriend, and a couple of friends. One of them wasn't enjoying it, so he decided to leave because his biggest what he wanted the most was, well, do something to have a good time with friends, and since he wasn't really enjoying it, he just left. Then more people joined. We right now it's seven of us, which until now it's the control team also for the games. The idea is to at least get more people for control, like so to not have to always be the same group, have more people to at least only for the control team on the during the day. But we still don't have anyone else.
That's fair. So you've talked about trying to get the word out about Watch the Skies. How did it go when you were preparing to do that first run and get everything together for your first real in-person mega game?
So the first one we did was a test, right? It was only 20 players or something like that. The game itself, it ended up being really almost everyone had a really good time. There was one team which I think the game, the kind of game, mega game, it was not for them, so they really didn't enjoy it as much. But besides that, like, there was so many things that went wrong. Like, we made a ton of mistakes. When we came to the game, we realized we were missing a lot of the cards that we hadn't printed. Like, the email that we had sent to the printing company wasn't complete, and we didn't have the time to check before because it was just after coming from vacations. And
oh no,
it was like we received everything like the week before that. So the day of the game, we realized that we were missing like half of the cards. So we started printing everything on the black and white printer, on just regular paper. So you had it, like, you will go to the day and we'll see all the. So you will see like me and someone else maybe explaining the rules, while there was someone else cutting all those cards that we were missing, and then trying to play with those cards that they wouldn't be well shuffled. So we had like two stacks of cards. On one at the end it was all the spy success was on one stack, all the spy failures were on the other, because we never, like, shuffling regular paper is not the easiest, especially when you're in a hurry and nervous and all of that. But at the end, it was, we really enjoyed, like, even with half the people, we noticed that it was a really good game. Like, there was something there.
Awesome.
It was obvious that it was not the same. Like there were a lot of issues because of the number of people, because of only being four countries, even though we made changes to balance things a little bit more. But yeah, like we left saying, okay, this we are onto something. We need to keep doing this because this is really really good. Yeah. Then the
That's awesome.
next game we had other issues. I mean, more mistakes from our part, but it was also it ended up also being a success. And then the third time we ran it, there were no. I would say that there probably were no mistakes or no big mistakes, or at least nothing that players would notice. So that one was really really good, I think.
That's great. I think, yeah, messing with printer issues on the day of the mega game is a classic experience. It's definitely one that we've done. So with all the materials, you had to translate them. How did that process go? Did you find was it tough? Did you have any issues with getting it all changed over?
I mean, no, it was kind of so. The only issue I found with that is that it was only me doing the translating. So I tried to get someone else to help me, but he wasn't really interested. So I ended up doing it all myself. And the thing is that there was a lot of things, there was a lot of text to translate. So it was a lot of work, let's say. Like it took me several months to do it. But that's it. Like it was just effort, and that's all. I mean, the material is not really think as something easy to translate. Like you have a lot of PDFs. So I got to get some kind of software to be able to edit PDF without messing with the translator with the format. I tried using Google Translate. I tried using some AI softwares, but they weren't really good because they would mess with all the format, and even the translation wasn't really the best. So I ended up having to do everything myself manually. And besides the translate work itself, the thing was that since everything was PDF, it was a little bit harder than just translating any other, I don't know, Word document or something like that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but it was okay. I mean, it took some time, but that's it. And I'm much better now than like I'm more used to it. So I did the same for God Emperor, and it was a lot faster. It was also easier because it's only one. Like you have like one big
centralized book,
book, and I just did that with on a document, and I didn't have to go into several files, and the format was easier to handle. So I kind of, it's not like a copy, but it's similar. So I kind of did my own format, so I didn't have to play with the format and struggle with keeping the same format. And well, like I learned a lot from doing on Watch the Skies. So it was easier this time, and I suppose next time is going to be even easier.
Yeah, nice, because it's such a huge amount of material with every card has text on it across both Watch the Skies and God Emperor, and there's so many different rules, booklets, and briefings for each individual country. It's pretty intense, so that's awesome.
It also helps, like it's an exercise that also helps you study the material, like the rules and everything. Because you end up reading it more than one time. You end up having to pay attention. Like the same phrase, you have to go maybe 2 times to find the right way to say the same thing or something similar. So it's a really good exercise to get to know the rules at the end.
Oh, that's awesome. And apart from the translation, did you make any other major changes to Watch the Skies when you read it? In terms
Yeah,
of,
we
did you
did.
change the teams around?
Yeah, we did some changes. So not really big changes because we didn't want to make it to be a different game, and because we didn't really. So we haven't really we had never really played the game before. So okay, I
Oh,
can
of
do
course.
changes, but I don't really know how it's going to affect. So we made a couple small changes, but not so much. Like there's a lot of information on Watch the Skies that is hidden from players unless they ask. Like, how do you use the science credits? Like, players know they earn science credits, but you don't tell them what they can do with them besides keeping for the end of the game. Or how do you, fix your interceptors? Like, it says, okay, if someone asks you, then you tell them this is surprise and such. So we decided to have all of that be common knowledge. So we added that on the player manual, mostly
cool.
thinking that since it's something that we want to play more than one time, if it's hidden to the players, then it means that those that have played 2 times have an advantage, and we don't want that.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and also like on the side on the science credits, we noticed that. So from the first time we played it, this test, there was an issue with the scientists that they felt that they really didn't affect the game a lot, and giving them the science credit as a tool to affect the game helps enormously on that idea of
nice.
okay, I'm really affecting the game. Like I can earn my Nobel prize, and with that I can get more technology, or I can get this on that or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest change. Then we added a couple of small things, like you can get public opinion using science credit. It's expensive, but but not so expensive as using regular money. What else? We played around a couple of ideas which we never did. We had a couple new projects, science projects for the humans, because we felt that there were too military inclined, the ones that were already there. Like most of them were like, yeah, okay, your interceptor is better, your military is better, your spies or whatever. So we wanted to add something a little bit more that would affect the game in some or other way, especially because the base game, military, is kind of doesn't really doesn't really help a lot the human players most of the time. And a lot of the scenarios that they're already written is the same. So said, okay, if the army is not so helpful and going to war in a lot of scenarios and a lot of times, depends on the alien objective and everything, but if it's not so helpful, then let's give them something else that they can do. So we ended up creating a couple new research, and of course, I mean, whatever they think about, right? We always accept anything they do. But reality is that, especially for beginners, mostly they use the research that you give them. So
Yep. So it sounds like you did make a few little tweaks here and there, and sort of they're very common. A few of them are common trends that we've heard from other people around the world who run Watch the Skies. Have you got much of a design background?
No.
No?
not really. No. I have a I've been playing since I'm 10 years old, playing board games and playing role playing games. So I have a big game background.
Yes. Yeah.
But
awesome.
I never did any design. But even like I think I feel like having played a lot and all sort of games still helps. Like helps you to see things as a player and kind of get the idea on well how is it working or not. And
Yeah.
also, I mean, we didn't do this since the beginning, right? Like we played once, we see, okay, this is not working. Let's see how we can fix it or improve it. Second time, the same. Like, okay, this is not working. What can we do? And yeah, and we also have a couple small changes for next time that we are probably going to do.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So it's because you've run Watch This Guys a couple of times now. You did the test, and you
Yeah.
did the sort of the full run. I think you mentioned, I can't remember if we were recording or not, but you mentioned you were going to do it a third time and then maybe move on to God Emperor. Are you hoping maybe in the new year to do some design work yourselves in Uruguay?
I don't know. I mean, so we've been talking about that since before getting Watch the Skies. Like, we talked about, okay, let's do one ourselves before that. But so there are ideas. I don't know if really going into a design before really doing more research and playing more things and
Yep.
running a couple more things.
Sure.
Because like, so now that we are looking for a new game to run, which wouldn't be Watch the Skies. The closest we have right now is God Emperor because we already translated, but we may end up doing something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
We still have to decide. So God Emperor is completely different to Watch the Skies, and there are a couple ideas there that never came to my mind, and it's probably going to be the same with all of the games.
Yeah.
So
very true.
yeah, so we want to have that. At least I do. I want to have that before going into designing something from scratch myself, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it's what I said. I think I said when we were talking offline, but I don't feel like there's no reason for me to believe I'm going to do a better work than the people that have already designed a game and have run that game several times. So we are going to do it at some point. No idea when.
Sure.
It's I think it's something that a lot of people grapple with because it feels like a very structured and complex world to jump into. But at the same time, I think a lot of people who have designed games just dove in and just sort of they heard about a mega game, maybe they played one, and then they just went for it. And I can definitely say, from my experience, I've learned a lot on the run, I suppose, on the job. You definitely learn a lot through designing it, but 100% as well. I think that the attitude of getting more mega games under your belt, playing more and experiencing more, that's a good way to go.
Yeah, and I mean it's easier, right? Like it's easier to run something that it's already done. Like I besides not having to think so hard about the game itself, like there's a lot of things that you don't need to do. Like there's all the pretty pictures, let's say. So none of us, there's nobody in the group that is a good designer or knows how
Graphic
to
design,
graphic design or even draw something any close to being good. and all the games already have something like that, and it's something that it's important. Like the visual part of the game, it's important. So yeah, so we can we can start working on designing something and doing like without the like something like doing sketches and we don't really doing some like the final piece or everything. But at the end, until we have someone helping on the design point of view, on the more visual point of view, we won't really be able to run it, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
that makes total sense.
And I feel that's where a lot of people lean on the community that starts to form around their games. I know that's what we've done in Sydney. Like, I've met people who've come along to play who have then wanted to help out, do different things. How have you found your community is building up? Like, what are you getting? Where are you getting your players from, I suppose?
So where I'm getting my players, most of the people is acquaintances or acquaintances of acquaintances. Like,
Right.
like, so I know someone, I told him and he didn't come, but told someone else, and this other guy ended up coming. I think not everyone, and that's interesting, I feel, but most of the people that it's playing has already some kind of board gaming or role playing background. But not everyone, and that's something that we feel is really good and we really want. So maybe, I know, 80% came from, or not 80, but maybe 70% of the people came from knowing someone who knows someone, or like some kind of direct or indirect relationship. And then the other 30% is people that showed up, and we are not really sure from where. Like, they saw it in Instagram, they listened to the radio interview, and they just ended up appearing, and we went around and put in some posters like the month before playing and such. I think those really didn't do a lot of work, but social media and radio interview ended up helping a bit, and I think that from there we got the additional 30%, I suppose.
Okay.
But like the last time we played, I think there were like maybe 10 people who all knew each other. A small group of them had played the first time, and they brought the rest on the second game. And I think that's the way to. I suppose that's the way to really grow. Like how we are going to end up growing is by people knowing someone and telling, and
just that word of mouth.
Word of mouth is huge.
It's really interesting. I really like that you've made the realization early that you have non-gamers. I remember our basis was very heavy in just sort of board gamers, role players, that kind of thing. Also university students. But then as the years went on, we realized there's a lot more people who are like teachers or people interested in politics or in theater. Like, there's all these different sort of subgroups. So it sounds. I'm happy to hear that you've already got those in your base, and it's not just the board gamers.
Yeah, and we are trying to, like, we have always tried to get that type of people, let's say. So like when we started talking about Watch the Skies, one of the things we usually were doing was trying to explain that it wasn't a role-playing game. That it had a lot of role-playing game, like it had some components, but it wasn't really a role-playing game. Basically because of that, because we wanted to attract people that had never played anything and wouldn't say, I need to have played a role-playing game or some kind of game, or I have to be on the community to go there or enjoy it. If not, it's not my thing. No. Yeah, at the end, most of the people comes from the gaming community, but the intent is to embrace everyone.
Of course.
So, yeah.
And so you mentioned that you went to Watch the Skies in Argentina. Do you have much contact with that group, Megagames Argentina? And are there many other groups you know of that are somewhat nearby you or around the area?
No, they are the only ones I know.
Sure.
We have some contact, not really a lot. Like we would while we were doing the Watch the Sky things and everything, we will send them pictures. They are designing a new game, so when they started designing, they would send us pictures too of that. So we kind of have that camaraderie, let's say, but it's not something like we talk a lot. When we started with the idea, we talked with them several times to get their feedback on the game and their their experience on running the game, not only Watch the Skies but Megagame in general and all of that. But it's the only other group I know that it's doing Megagames, not even close, but in Spanish. I tried. So the first thing I did was trying to find a Spanish version of Watch the Skies. Like finding someone that had already translated the game. That's how I ended up finding Megajuegos Argentina. So I talked to them. We didn't get the version from them because they had the first version of the game and we had the Watch the Skies Lite, I think it's called, the second version. So we ended up anyway translating and everything, but I couldn't find anyone else. Like I couldn't found anyone in Spain or anywhere in the rest of Latin America or anywhere else. Like I'm not saying there is no one. I would be amazed to not find, at least in Spain, someone playing this, but I couldn't find it on the web.
Well, if anyone's listening to this podcast and please do contact us because we'd love to hear.
Yeah.
But it does remind me of my experiences kind of starting up Mega Games in Brisbane, and it was, I guess, and Pat, you probably felt similar setting things up in Sydney. It was a bit isolated in the early days because even to the degree that I remember to my first run of Watch the Skies, someone flew over to us from New Zealand to play in the game, which was crazy, but it was because this was the closest way that he could get to play in a mega game, even though it was such a huge distance. And yeah, I can only imagine it would be even more isolating to be such a geographic distance away, but also have the language barrier in place on those materials and everything.
Yeah, so the guys in Argentina, so we went there to play. We went from Montevideo to Buenos Aires, which it's not really far away. It's maybe like, I don't know, 600 kilometers. I don't know, something like that. Like it's not, it might be even closer. So you get there by boat in 2 hours if you go like the fast boat, the fast ship. But the guy who started the thing decided to do it because he wanted to play it, and going to UK to play it was way too expensive. So he said, I'm not going to go to UK to play this, so I'm just going to run the game myself.
Yep. No, that's fair. I think that's similar to us, actually. Like, I remember starting in 2014, and there was just there was no way I was going to be able to go anywhere else. So I thought, all right, well, I really want to play this, so I'm going to start running them. It's the only way. It's been good hearing about the translating process, because it's something I've never really thought about. And a lot of the time, just by default, when you're making these games and making the components, there's just words on it. I mean, it's just general game design, I suppose, but there's just words on everything, and there's so much detail that you'd need to go through if you were doing a translation process. It's so maybe it's something that designers listening could take away from looking at ways to keep the writing down, and rely more on the visual design, iconography, and that kind of thing. I'm just cringing thinking about you translating every single card and every single document.
It's
Well,
something I've definitely thought
the
about.
yeah for God Emperor there are like the favors.
Yeah.
The PDF which has all of them. I realized that there weren't really so many, but they were repeated like 3 or 4 times each one. So I ended up creating my own small version, which then I'm going to print like 3, 4, 5 times or however copies I need. So it wasn't like I had to translate. I don't know how many cards there are, but like I didn't have to translate 100 cards.
250,
I did. I know, yeah. Which was much easier.
Definitely.
But yeah, and I suppose like iconography. I suppose it can be a little bit hard because so when people go play this, there's some people that read the rules, and then there's people that do not read the rules. And having the rules written in the card and written wherever it's easier than having to. It's probably easier than having to learn what a certain symbol means. So I see that it's probably easy to go and make some changes to like something that says, okay, delete this card or discard this or just or keep it. Like that's probably easy to show in an image what you need to do. But then when you have more complicated things and you don't have a way to really make sure that people is going to learn the meaning of each one of your images, it's much easier to just write them. So I understand that everything is written, and I'm not really thinking of people playing on the other side of the world, like 13 hours away, 13 time zones away.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Of course. But definitely, I mean, some of those God Emperor bits and pieces were just in, image format or uneditable formats. So that's definitely
Yeah.
something I've taken away for future designs, is to at least make it so that people can edit the stuff. Even if it's not a language thing, even if people, need to make some adjustments for whatever different version they're doing, I think that's probably a good practice.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, those are where image I ended up. You sent me. I think you sent me a version of the orders that were on Google Docs. I ended up not using them, and just because the orders are really easy to do, so I ended up just going and doing my own and with my own format and everything. But yeah, like it's for those that want to make any change and translate or anything, having that editable version, it's a real help.
Yeah.
And even for the map, like Watch the Skies, the map, it's a PDF which has text. So I translated some of the pieces on the map. I didn't translate the countries because that's too much. I say, okay, I don't need to translate them. But things like, all around it says, I know, money, how much money you have, the how is it that it's in English? The opinion of your country, all of that. So I translated all that. Now for God Emperor, you have all the name of the regions, like the 3-letter code. I couldn't do that because it's an image and I can really go and change that. So we are going to just leave it's not really a big deal because it's not even a name. It's like 3 letters and we can read 3 letters, but yeah, it's the names are like English sounding names, and for Spanish speaking people, they may be hard to remember or hard to say even. So having the editable version would have been good for that too, but it's not a big deal really for this case.
Awesome. I think we're coming to the end now. What would you say you're most proud of so far in getting everything kickstarted and running your first games?
um, I mean, I suppose just being able to run them and seeing at the end how people were like happy and had such a good time, and seeing the people at the end getting together and discussing what had happened and all of that, people that really didn't know each other before. So it's like you end up the game with a feeling of completion, let's say, of like you feel really good about the game and what you did and what you accomplished, and everything. So I suppose that's the proudest. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to feel a lot more proud when we are able to grow the community to a number of
Sure.
people that
Yeah.
allows us to do the game monthly, and that's going to be a huge huge success. But
Yeah.
until now, each one of the games that we run, we end up leaving with a really good sensation, and that's
Yeah.
great. Like we enjoy them a lot. Players, we see that they enjoy it a lot. We didn't have one player, one of the games that had some, I suppose you would say, like social anxiety, and was kind of dragged by his friends to the game, and how he was really afraid of this game with so many people and with this big social component and everything. And he ended up having like the greatest time, and seeing someone that struggles, that really suffers from anxiety, and going past that anxiety on a game that is for 40 people in the same room. That's a fantastic sensation too.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
And it's also, you've done so much so quickly. I think that's the thing that I was really impressed to hear. You're probably the newest group that we've spoken to before, but you've really hit the ground running. It sounds like you've got a lot under your belt already, and big plans for the rest of the year and next year. So that's
It's
respectable.
it's funny you say that, because we feel that we go really slow. I suppose it's because we had the idea to run it once every month, and we are no close to that, nowhere close to that.
Yeah.
And but yeah, like we feel like when we started, we thought that it was going to be much easier to find players than what it has been. Like we know
Sure.
that there's a big community of gamers and a big community of people who love gaming and like playing anything, and seeing that we haven't been able to at least get them into the game, like get them to even follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. It's like makes us like feel like, okay, it's. I mean, we were expecting better results on that play. So some of us feel like we are going slow, and having you say that no, we are going fast. It's good.
Oh yeah.
I would
It's a
definitely
surprise.
say so.
Yeah.
Definitely fast.
Mm.
Yeah, like I said, I think in Sydney we started in 2014, and we ran a game per year until 2019. I think we ran 2, and then we stopped running them for a while because of the pandemic. And now we've started up again, and we're really invigorated, and we're trying to run a lot more, but still not touching once a month. I feel the big communities in the world, like the UK and the broader sort of European, set a high bar because they've been around for a very long time and they have a lot of different players involved. It's very easy to to travel from one place to another to go and play games. So when we were sort of starting up and we're looking at the online calendar of events, it's like there's one a week in the UK sometimes, and it can be a bit daunting. But I think that in our little pockets of the world, I think getting anything out, getting a game off the ground at all is impressive, and then running what sounds like it's going to be 3 in your first year, that's definitely an achievement. So don't be too harsh on yourself.
No, and talking the UK, what I noticed too, like seeing videos, photos, and everything, that you see like the same, 10 people on all of the games. It's like they've been so since how do you put it? They've been so much time into this thing that there's like a core group of gamers that is. It seems like they are always there. Like you have like a base of people that is going to be in your game, and you can be sure that they are going to be there. For us, it's nowhere that like we don't have. Maybe we have 4 people that we realized they are probably going to come every game because they really loved it. But that's it. Like we can already. That's not enough to make sure that you're going to have a game. Like the last time we played it, we almost didn't do it because 2 teams at the end, like the last during the last week, ended up canceling. So we ended up with 6 teams instead of the 8 teams, and we said, okay, if we have 6, we can do it. Like less than 6, we need to cancel the game. And we ended up doing, and it was great. And it was great seeing that with 6 countries, the game was really good. Like we were afraid that it would lose a lot, and it ended up being even better than the previous time.
Awesome.
But yeah, like you see abroad, and it's like, okay, the community is already created, so it's we want to get to that point where we have a community that we say, okay, we can run the game, and we are sure that we are going to get enough people.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Well, I think you're on the right track. It's just slow and steady, and getting the word out as often as you can to as many people as you can. What advice do you think that you would want to give anyone who's listening especially in other parts of the world where either there's a language barrier or to the rest of the mega game community, I mean, or in just areas where there aren't any mega games now? What advice would you give them for starting up their own community?
So, at least for me, I think the biggest thing was having a group to work with, like not having friends like that I could work with. I could discuss and push each other, Like I feel like starting by myself would have been much harder. Probably wouldn't have done it. I would say that if the language shouldn't be a barrier. If like translating the game can be a big work, but it's not so hard if you have some idea of English, which if you know about mega games you probably have, because it's like all the information is in English. So don't be scared about that. Just grab the game and run it. What I will say is probably be careful on the game you are going to play first. Try to make sure that it's one of the simpler games. So from what I saw, like I think running Den of Wolves, I know that in the community, I feel like there are a lot of people that say that Watch the Skies may not be the best game to start. The thing is, there's a lot of information about Watch the Skies. So you have the Shut Up and Sit Down videos, and that's already a lot. Okay. Then you have Den of Wolves. Den of Wolves it's supposed to be without having really read the rules or played it or anything. It's supposed to be better designed, or not better designed, but easier to approach on the design, on how the rules are written and all of that. But I still feel like finding information about Watch the Skies and finding people to talk to was much easier. So I'm not saying start with Watch the Skies, but certainly start with something that you find is going to be easy for you to find other people to discuss, other people to ask things and to see, because we are going to have a ton of doubts. So and don't be afraid to make up something if you have those doubts. Something.
Yeah, that's very good advice. Because that first game is never. It sounds like you had a great first experience actually, but it's always going to be a bit rocky.
Yeah,
and that's just part of the process.
Yeah, and well, that's another thing. Like the test run we did was so important for us. Like if that would have been the real run, it would have probably been a disaster because of all the things that went wrong. But having that first run with some people that were close friends that will give us, we knew that were going to give us good feedback and we're going to have fun no matter what. If you can do a first attempt with the smallest version of the game, and don't worry about changing it and making it unbalanced and everything, just do it, because it's going to help you a lot. Making sure that everything goes right on the first real time you do it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, totally agree. Good advice. Well, thank you again for coming and talking to us. And congratulations on starting the group up and the success this year. I think, if you're interested, we might try and check back in again in the future and see what you've been up to, because it sounds like you've got a lot of plans in the future. Particularly when we're talking about, making commitments on the podcast and everything. And I was having a look at your website, Javier, and there's it was translated to English, but there was a mention there of the games that have 200 players and how that's something that you want to get to.
Yeah,
so
it's something that will be really, really far away, but we will love to do that. Yeah.
We'll see. Well, thanks again. We will have a link to the website and the Instagram and the Facebook group. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, or anywhere else that people should go to contact you?
No, those are the main places. Like Instagram, mainly the webpage. Facebook is there. We don't really use it a lot, but it's there, so it's also okay. If someone wants to play Watch the Skies at least, and is a Spanish speaker and needs the translation, if you already bought the license, ping me. I'm completely fine with giving my version. But make sure you paid the designer first.
Of course, yeah. No, that's great. That's really good to have, and I'll be making sure to spruik that anytime we do interact with new groups, because it's probably something that is bubbling away in the background of the mega game community, different language games, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in the spotlight just yet, so it's good to know it's there. All right, Javier. Well, thank you for chatting. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night, and good luck with the next run of Watch the Skies.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.